Friends, today we're going straight into the review of the Honor 65G that our friends at Phones to Guatemala sent us. We've already tested it in gaming, battery, cameras, and daily use. So by the end, I'll tell you if it's really worth it and if it gets our seal of approval. You know, approved. Let's get right into the review, starting with the design. Despite having a huge 7,000 mAh battery, you might think the phone would be big, heavy, and bulky, but it's not. It's only about 7.8 millimeters thick and weighs approximately 185 grams, so it feels quite thin and comfortable in the hand. Personally, I really like the design. It's quite cool. Plus, we have dual SIM support, electronic eSIM, and something we sometimes miss in a phone like this is the infrared sensor. And yes, it has it so you can change the TV, but don't change your neighbor's TV. Just as you're seeing, we can turn up the volume, even change channels. That's cool. But we also have certifications like IP68 and IP69K for water and dust resistance. And I have to tell you that in the camera area, we have an underwater mode, but this only allows for 1 meter of depth. Please don't submerge it any deeper. Then you'll come here crying that you voided your warranty. Remember, it's not like this smartwatch that has up to 5 atmospheres, meaning you can go swimming with it. This phone isn't, so keep that in mind. Now let's move on to talk about its screen. We have AMOLED technology, which by the way is really cool. It's 6.57 inches, has excellent resolution, and can reach up to a 120 Hz refresh rate. It looks really good. For watching HDR content, it looks spectacular, especially on YouTube or other platforms. The bezels are quite slim. The fluidity feels like 120 Hz. You can really tell, even when navigating through the system or gaming. We also have an in-display fingerprint reader that responds quite quickly, and we also have unlocking via the selfie camera. Both worked very well during all my tests. And since we're talking about the screen, let's quickly move on to the sound because it has dual speakers, meaning stereo sound. So let's take a moment to hear exactly how this Honor device sounds in practice. Coming up. In terms of software, we have Android 16 with Magic OS 10, and honestly, the interface feels quite clean. We have features like Twin Apps, NFC to make our payments. We also have a Magic Portal, Circle to Search, translations with instant subtitling via artificial intelligence, and various tools offered by Honor AI. We also have that dedicated button that we can configure for different functions, like opening artificial intelligence, opening the camera, muting the sound, or opening Google Gemini. Anyway, there are a ton of things we can configure from that little button at the bottom. And a feature that honestly made me laugh quite a bit was turning a photo into a short video using artificial intelligence, and that can be found in the Gallery app. You come in, you can take a photo, and you can also select up to 2. You go into the gallery, tell it what prompt or what the video is going to be like, and that's it. Honestly, it was one of the things that surprised me the most. But what do you think if we just go see how those videos turned out next?
Abracadabra.
I don't know what it did there, but it's entertaining. And something important is that Honor promises that's great, up to 6 years of updates. So we have a phone for a while. Now let's go with the most important part. We have a Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 processor with an Adreno 722 GPU. And this version I have features 8 GB of RAM and 512 GB of internal storage. That's quite a lot, but as always, what do you think if we go with a test before we talk about the numbers? And we're starting with Fortnite. We played it at 60 FPS with high graphics. It ran quite stably. It was one of the games where it heated up the most, reaching approximately 47 degrees. But we didn't have any restarts or freezes at all. After that, we played Call of Duty Mobile. We reached approximately 90 FPS, both in multiplayer and Battle Royale. Now you're gonna come and tell me, okay, Euphrazio, but why didn't you prioritize the frames per second? Man, we did! We prioritized the frames per second and lowered the graphics, but that's where it stayed. It didn't reach 120 FPS, but wait, because later on I'm going to tell you which game did reach 120 FPS. And I also have to talk about the gyroscope sensor. It responded quite well. We had excellent stability, and then we moved on to PUBG Mobile. It also performed quite well, maintaining stability even with approximately 43 degrees of temperature during our rigorous test. The thing is, here in Guatemala, we have around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius. If I had more, then I would immediately use a gaming fan. In your case, just make sure to use it while gaming. Then we moved on to Free Fire Max. We were at around 91 FPS, and practically with 100% stability. But you might say, okay, even an old blender can run that. But we had to do the gaming test to try it out. And then we moved on to the game that's a huge hit, Bloodstrike. That's where we did reach up to 120 FPS, although here the temperature went back up to approximately 46 degrees. Now, for the heavier games, Genshin Impact, we tested it by setting it to 60 FPS and high graphics. It ran quite smoothly, and I must tell you that this game is indeed quite heavy and very demanding, but functional. Then we tested Wuthering Waves. Here we were, pushing it even harder. We were at approximately between 30 and 40 FPS, with a temperature that hovered around 45 degrees. So obviously this phone isn't a gaming phone, but at least it was giving us, well, a good result, and that's really appreciated. And this is one of its strongest points. That battery is 7,000 milliamp hours. And we started our gaming test at around 100%. Yeah, after approximately an hour and 10 minutes, we still had 88% battery remaining. And after almost 2 full hours of gaming, we finished with approximately 79% battery. So depending on the specific game, we could easily expect that battery to give us about 7 to 9 hours of intense, continuous gaming. We also have 80-watt fast charging, which comes with everything in the box. By the way, we already did an unboxing of it. And one feature I really like is the bypass charging capability, so the battery health is well preserved. I can completely assure you that it will perform very well. Now, let's talk about its cameras. We have a 200 megapixel main camera with OIS technology, accompanied by a second 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera. And yes, as you can see here, it looks like it has a third sensor, but guess what? It's the infrared sensor for changing the TV channel. Yeah, you probably thought it had 3 cameras. Well, the selfie camera is 50 megapixels. The rear camera can record in 4K at 30 FPS. And something very good is that the front camera can also record up to 4K at 30 FPS. And the thing is, we can also record with simultaneous cameras, meaning 4K video from both the rear and front, making that switch without any editing or anything. But I'm not going to tell you here whether they're good or bad. What do you think if we go to a test next? Which, by the way, is both day and night. Now, this is the first photograph with its 200 megapixel rear camera in normal mode. Then we move on to portrait mode, but this is in the hardcore mode. It's practically like a professional studio level photograph, where we can choose various colors. It really did quite well, leaving a good interpretation regarding the blurred background, good cutout on the shoulder, on the hair, even on the box. Look at those great colors. I mean, we can choose any of them, and our photos will come out as awesome as you're seeing. What a great level of detail. It has convinced me, and a lot. For now, it has passed the test. But look, if we take a picture of a motorcycle, it also produces an excellent result. Now look at how it would take a photo in ultra-wide mode. It really loses practically no detail at all. It has convinced me as well. And it also goes hand in hand with the photography that is accompanied by normal mode and then ultra wide mode. And as you're seeing, it loses almost no detail at all. Good result. Meanwhile, the PDF autofocus works in the best way, leaving the object in the foreground well focused and the background blurred. Look over here, even in this, wow, what a level of detail. Also, for the selfie camera, we're noticing a photo in normal mode. It does it quite well, right? It also does it impeccably in portrait mode. It looks really good how it handles the cutout on the finger, the hair, the shoulder, and the color interpretation. It has passed the test as well. And the thing is, I've taken several photos in different scenarios, in different lighting conditions, and the result remains the same, giving us a quite remarkable result. Both cameras, both the rear and the selfie camera, have passed the test, at least in daylight mode, so it's been remarkable. In night mode, look, the selfie camera has also given a good result. But let's remember that the better the lighting, the better the results will be. Here we also have almost no lighting, even so it has artificial intelligence. There's also another photo here that does quite well. And the truth is, the night mode photo on the rear camera has left a good taste in my mouth. Same for the ultra wide mode, so it's quite good, given a good interpretation of colors. If you look at the sky, there's a lot of artificial intelligence, because obviously it's completely dark. However, it gives it that touch we require when we want to get a photograph like this. There's also video recording mode. It does it quite well, outputting in 4K resolution at 30 frames per second. What I like is that we can capture various scenarios, such as ultra-wide mode, we can zoom in, and even use the selfie camera. Look at how it makes the switch. I really like it. And that gives a good result, that we also have the opportunity to record over here. Look, I have almost no lighting here. I mean, there is a bit of noise. It's a good level of decal. Look at the sky, please. The artificial intelligence is really doing its job. We also have it here in daylight mode on the selfie camera. I really like how it does it. There's a good level in terms of, for example, optical stabilization. Let's capture this here. The level of autofocus is quite good, even when zooming in. Now I'm going to try switching to ultra-wide mode. Look, it practically doesn't lose any detail. That's really appreciated. And it's very well stabilized. I'm going to try running here. You're going to say I'm a little crazy, but I'm going to test it out. Well, look at that. We also have quite excellent performance here in terms of the selfie camera. In all scenarios, I am recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. Look, I'm going to start running. Look at the stability with the selfie camera. Very good. Now I'm switching to the rear camera. It stays nice and stable as well. I'll run a little bit. Let's see. Look, the ultra-wide mode does it perfectly too. It definitely passed the test. Even the zoom isn't anything crazy, but it stands out decently. Good for that. Here we are recording at 1080p at 30 frames per second. This is dual view, meaning we can use both the rear camera and the selfie camera. Imagine there's an artist and you want to say, well, I was here. So that's what it's for, since we have zoom and it's pretty good. So we can switch cameras, like this. We can do this, we can also do this. Anyway, there are a ton of things you can use this Honor for. Look at how it makes the switch. It really passed it quite well. Good for Honor. After testing this Honor 65G, I did like it. The Snapdragon 7 Generation 4 passed our gaming test. The 7,000 mAh battery, wow, how excellent. We have bypass charging, a very good 120Hz AMOLED screen, a fairly slim design considering such a 7,000 mAh battery, Magic OS software that feels clean. We have many years of updates. And that's quite convenient, right? And there are also some really cool artificial intelligence features, like being able to easily turn a static photo into a video, thanks to the new Gallery app where we can simply use some text prompts to get things done. You tell it what to do and that's it, it's done. And also, it's funny, and I like that a lot. Imagine what you can do with artificial intelligence. Don't do it to your friends, okay? And after seeing all those camera tests, personally, the photography really seemed amazing to me, especially that hardcore mode. That crop mode is just insane. So, yeah, after putting it through its paces, I can confirm that the Honor 65G has officially passed all of our rigorous tests and now proudly carries our full seal of approval. Very good. I liked it a lot. If you want to buy it, this is the price. Just keep in mind it's a reference. It may vary depending on your country. So a big thank you to our friends at Phone in Guatemala for letting me test it, and to you all for always stopping by this channel. Subscribe, it's free. I really liked it, seriously. What a job Honor has done. I would have liked it to have HDMI. Yeah, that was just something I had to point out. And the other thing, well, that it could have had more zoom, but that would have raised the price a bit more. I think we're good with that, right? With that aspect? So think about it. And for me, it has passed the test. So we'll see each other in the next video. I'll leave the respective unboxing here for you, as well as a gaming test, so you can go check it out in depth. The unboxing with everything it comes with, and the gaming test, which, by the way, took us 2 hours, my brother. That's a lot. We didn't test it for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, we spent 2 hours playing it. That's where we can really see the performance, clearly. Take care.